For 70 years, the relationship between the United States and Canada was like gravity. It was just there. It was undeniable. It was permanent. America leads, Canada follows. America buys, Canada sells. But 3 hours ago, that gravity turned off. While Washington was distracted by the latest tweet, while the cable news pundits were arguing about immigration rhetoric, Ottawa didn't scream. They didn't protest. They didn't hold a press conference to complain about fairness. They just pulled the trigger. Mark Carney just signed a document that effectively ends the America First monopoly on North American resources. And the terrifying part for the White House, they didn't even know the meeting was happening until the ink was dry. This isn't a trade dispute anymore. This isn't a tariff skirmish. This is a divorce. Donald Trump spent the last 6 months trying to corner Canada, treating a G7 ally like a vassal state, threatening 25% tariffs, then 50%, demanding loyalty without offering respect. He thought he was squeezing them. He thought he was applying pressure to a weak point. He was wrong. He wasn't squeezing them. He was pushing them out the door. And now the consequences are about to hit your wallet, your 401k, and your grocery bill. In the next 40 minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what just happened. We are going to look at the numbers the White House is trying to hide. We're going to show you the secret flight logs to Brussels that Trump's intelligence team missed. And we're going to explain why Mark Carney, the central banker, the quiet strategist, just handed Donald Trump the biggest defeat of his presidency without raising his voice. You are watching history shift in real time. And if you're in the United States, you need to brace for impact. This is the pivot. So let's cut through the noise. What actually happened today? At 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, while Washington slept, Prime Minister Mark Carney's office released a joint statement with the European Union and Japan. It's being called the Critical Supply Security Pact. On the surface, it sounds boring. It sounds like bureaucratic paper pushing. That is exactly what Carney wants it to look like. Because if you read the fine print, which we did, it is a geopolitical earthquake. Here is the breakdown. For decades, the United States had what we call preferred access to Canadian resources: oil, lumber, aluminum, and most importantly, critical minerals, the stuff that goes into your iPhone, your Tesla, and the F-35 fighter jet. It was an unwritten rule. America eats first. This morning, that rule was deleted. The new pact legally binds Canada to reserve 40% of its critical mineral output for the European Union and Japan for the next 10 years. In exchange, those nations are providing massive upfront infrastructure investment. And here is the kicker: a guaranteed price floor that is independent of the US dollar. Do you understand what that means? It means Canada just sold the minerals that American factories were counting on. Trump has been threatening to slap tariffs on Canadian goods to force them into a bad deal. He thought he could hold the U.S. market hostage. He said, "If you don't do what I say, you lose access to American consumers." Carney looked at that threat and he didn't blink. He simply found new customers. He pre-sold the inventory. It's the equivalent of a landlord threatening to evict a tenant only to find out the tenant has already bought a mansion down the street and moved their furniture out in the middle of the night. The leverage is gone. Trump woke up this morning ready to bully Canada into submission at the negotiating table. But when he got to the table, the chair was empty. Canada isn't negotiating for access to the U.S. market anymore because they just replaced it. This is a masterclass in leverage, and it leaves the Trump administration with a nightmare scenario. They need these materials. The U.S. defense sector needs Canadian cobalt and lithium. They don't have a choice. And now they have to get in line behind Germany. They have to get in line behind Japan. This is the first time in modern history that the United States has been treated as a secondary partner in its own hemisphere. And the man responsible isn't shouting at rallies. He isn't calling people names. He's sitting in Ottawa looking at a spreadsheet, watching the numbers align exactly how he planned them. You might be thinking, is it really that bad? Is this just political theater? Let's look at the receipts. Let's look at the hard data that proves this is not a drill. Receipt number 1, the market reaction. Look at the screen. This is the ticker for 3 major U.S. EV battery manufacturers as of 9:30 a.m. this morning, down 8%, down 12%, down 15%. Why? Because the market knows how to read. Investors saw the Brussels Pact and realized that the supply chain these companies rely on just got cut in half. They know that if Canada sends that lithium to Europe, it's not coming to Michigan. It's not coming to Texas. Now look at the Toronto Stock Exchange. The mining sector is up. The energy sector is green. The market is voting, and the market is saying that Canada just won. Receipt number 2, the border wait times. We are getting reports from the Ambassador Bridge, the busiest border crossing in North America. Usually a slowdown there is bad news for Canada, but today the slowdown is happening on the American side. U.S. customs agents are reportedly scrambling. There are rumors of new orders coming from the Department of Homeland Security to inspect strategic goods. But here is the thing. The trucks aren't there. We have drone footage showing a 20% drop in commercial volume heading south today. That isn't a strike. That isn't a blockade. That is a redirection. Those goods are moving to rail. They are moving to ports in Montreal and Vancouver. They are heading east and west, not south. Receipt number 3, the leaked memo. An internal memo from the U.S. Department of Commerce leaked about an hour ago. We can't show you the whole thing, but I can read you one line. It says, quote, "Current inventory levels of processed nickel allow for 45 days of production. Alternative sourcing from Indonesia will take 6 months to secure." Did you catch that? 45 days. Trump has been acting like he has all the time in the world. He has been acting like Canada is desperate. But the reality is, American factories have 45 days before they run out of the raw materials they need to build cars and batteries. And Carney knows it. He timed this perfectly. He waited until U.S. inventories were tight, and then he signed the deal with Europe. He created a scarcity shock. This is what happens when you put a reality TV star up against a central banker. One of them cares about ratings. The other one cares about leverage. Trump has been playing checkers. Carney is playing 3D chess, and he just took the queen. To understand why this is happening, you have to understand the psychology of Donald Trump. Trump operates on a very simple model: dominance. He believes that every interaction is a zero-sum game. For him to win, you have to lose. He believes that because the U.S. economy is bigger, he can always dictate the terms. He thinks fear is the only currency that matters. For the last year, he has used fear against Canada. He threatened the Ottawa Pact. He insulted their leadership. He threatened to militarize the border over asylum seekers. He treated Canada not like a partner, but like a problem. He assumed Canada would fold. He assumed that because they are polite, they are weak. He assumed that because they need us, they will take whatever abuse he dishes out. But Trump made a fatal calculation error. He forgot that Canada has options. See, Trump is stuck in 1985. He thinks the world still revolves entirely around the American consumer. He thinks that if he closes the U.S. market, other countries will starve. But it's 2026. The world is different. Europe is desperate for energy and minerals to get off Russian reliance. Asia is hungry for food and fertilizer. Carney saw this. Carney understands the global map in a way Trump never will. So while Trump was busy shouting threats, Carney was busy making calls. And now Trump is losing control because his favorite weapon, tariffs, doesn't work here. Think about it. If Trump slaps a tariff on Canadian goods now, what happens? Canada has already sold the goods to Europe. They aren't trying to send them here anymore. You can't tax what you aren't buying. Trump is standing there holding a gun, threatening to shoot, but Canada has already left the room. And you can see the panic setting in. Look at his Truth Social feed this morning. It's frantic, all caps, exclamation points, calling Carney a traitor to the continent, calling the EU scammers. That is not the sound of a man who is winning. That is the sound of a man who realizes he has been outplayed. He is trying to rally his base. He is trying to make this look like an attack on America. But deep down, his advisors know the truth. They know that they pushed Canada too far. And now Canada has pushed back. And the worst part for Trump, he can't fix this with a phone call. He can't fix this with a rally. Contracts are signed. Ships are being booked. The pivot is legal and binding. Trump is trapped in a cage of his own making. He destroyed the trust. And now he is paying the price. Now let's talk about Mark Carney. If you don't know his background, you need to understand who this man is. He ran the Bank of Canada during the 2008 financial crisis, and he saved Canada from the worst of it. Then he was hired to run the Bank of England. He is a technician. He is a systems thinker. He doesn't do gut feelings. He does risk analysis. When Trump started threatening Canada, Carney didn't get angry. He didn't engage in a Twitter war. He didn't call Trump names. He went quiet. That silence was dangerous. Carney understands something that Trump doesn't. Sovereignty isn't about shouting about your flag. Sovereignty is about optionality. Sovereignty means having the power to say no. And to say no to the United States, you need a backup plan. What Carney has done here is historically significant. He has redefined Canada's place in the world. For 100 years, Canada defined itself as America's partner. Carney is redefining Canada as the world's resource superpower. He is betting on a simple fact. The world needs what Canada has. The world needs fresh water. The world needs uranium. The world needs potash. The world needs rare earth metals. Carney is saying, we are open for business, but we are not open for bullying. This isn't anti-Americanism. Carney loves America. He lived here. He worked here. But he is a realist. He sees that the U.S. political system is broken. He sees that Trump is unstable. He sees that America is turning inward, and he is protecting his country from the fallout. He is building a firewall. This strategy is calm. It is calculated, and it is cold-blooded. He isn't burning the bridge with America. He is just building 5 other bridges so that the American bridge isn't the only way out. And that is why this is so effective. It's hard to demonize. He isn't attacking the U.S. Constitution. He is just signing trade deals. He is just doing business. How does Trump fight that? How do you fight a guy who is simply following the rules of the free market, the very rules America claims to love? Carney has turned capitalism against the capitalist king. So why does this matter to you? If you are watching this in Wisconsin or Ohio or Florida, why should you care about a trade deal between Canada and Europe? Because Canada touches every part of your life. Do you like affordable electricity? Canada supplies a massive chunk of the U.S. power grid. Do you like affordable housing? Canadian lumber builds American homes. Do you drive a car? Canadian oil fuels American refineries. If this divorce continues, if this split gets wider, the costs are going to land on your kitchen table. Let's play this out. If Canada prioritizes selling oil to Asian markets via the new pipeline expansions, the supply for U.S. Midwest refineries drops. Gas prices go up. Not by a few cents, by $1, maybe $2. If Canada prioritizes selling aluminum to Europe, the cost of beer cans, cars, and construction materials in the U.S. goes up. Inflation, the thing everyone hates, will come roaring back. And it won't be because of the Fed. It will be because the cheap, reliable supply chain to the north has been severed. And it's bigger than money. It's about safety. We live in a dangerous world. Russia, China, the Middle East. Instability is everywhere. For generations, Americans have slept soundly knowing that at least their northern border was safe. At least their northern neighbor was a friend. Trump is throwing that away. He is turning a friend into a competitor. Imagine a world where Canada is neutral, not hostile, just neutral. Imagine a world where Chinese companies are building infrastructure in Alberta because the U.S. companies were pushed out. Imagine a world where European defense contractors get the first pick of Canadian tech. That is the world Carney is building today. Not because he wants to hurt America, but because he has to protect Canada from Trump. You are watching the end of the North American fortress. And once that wall is breached, once that trust is gone, you can't just glue it back together. There is a photo circulating online right now that you need to see. It was taken this morning at the Department of Commerce in Washington. There was supposed to be a working group meeting on cross-border energy. Look at the empty chair. For 70 years, Canada has always been in that chair. Through wars, through recessions, through presidencies, good and bad, Canada always showed up. Today, they didn't. That empty chair is the loudest message Donald Trump has ever received. It says, we don't need to be here anymore. It says, we have other places to go. Carney didn't raise his voice. He simply removed his presence. And the silence in that room is deafening. So where do we go from here? This is the dangerous part. We are entering uncharted territory. Scenario A, the Trump escalation. This is the most likely path. Trump feels humiliated. He lashes out. He closes the border. He imposes a 100% tariff on everything. If he does that, the result is that the U.S. stock market drops another 1,000 points. The business community revolts. Republicans in Congress start to panic as their wealthy donors lose billions. It is economic suicide, but his pride might demand it. The second possibility is the quiet retreat. Trump's advisors, the few reasonable ones still around, get his attention. They tell him that if he goes through with this, they lose the midterm elections and they lose the economy. They try to spin it as a simple rescheduling. They try to get Carney back on the phone. But here's the problem. Carney might not answer. Carney holds the power now. He can afford to wait. Trump cannot. The third possibility is a global shift in alliances. This is the dangerous one. Canada speeds up deals with China and the European Union. They sign a security agreement that leaves the United States out. They stop working together on defending the continent. The idea of a united North America basically dies. The United States ends up isolated on its own continent. I do not know which of these will happen, but I know one thing for certain. The way things used to be is over. You cannot have a leader walk out of the Oval Office and just pretend everything is normal the next day. The trust is gone. The handshake means nothing. History is not made by treaties. It is made by moments. Today was one of those moments. Donald Trump tried to break Canada. Instead, he shattered the illusion that America is in control. Mark Carney walked out and took the reality of the global economy with him. Now we wait for the consequences. We wait for prices to climb, for markets to shake, and for the angry posts to fly. But make no mistake, power shifted today. It moved north, and it moved away from the man sitting behind the desk in the Oval Office. I want to hear what you think. Is Carney a hero for standing up for his country's independence? Or is he reckless for risking a trade war with the United States? Is Trump playing some brilliant long game? Or did he just flip the board over because he was losing? Let me know in the comments. I am reading every single one. And if you want to find out what happens when the markets open tomorrow, and they will panic, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. The mainstream news is going to try to twist this story. We are going to tell you the truth. This is The Breakup. Do not look away. I'm Andrew Weissman. Thanks for watching.